coming to this topic, I always we talk about how Chennai region economy and sustaining and building the growth drivers, etc. One thing I always feel is that from anything on economic discussion, I remember my dialogue with some German economists, and one of them made a very interesting point: how positive sentiment itself can drive the economy forward. And this is one thing which in TCS we believe, and with IT industry, I think we have always believed in the positivism. I think even in the IT industry, even a few years back when people said it might be very difficult for them to survive, I think we are always optimistic. I think this is very important for us to stay optimistic, and we need to drive this optimism across Chennai zone. I think all of us have a key role to play. I think Mr. Ganesh Mani and Mr. Josh Forger completely touched upon a lot of interesting topics, which shows the amount of opportunities which are on the table for us. Overall, the Indian and Tamil Nadu economies, I think we have observed that it has bounced back post-COVID. I think it all really augurs well, and we need to strike when the iron is hot. If you look at it, each industry can propel other industries. I mean, that's what I think Josh and Ganesh Mani also talked about. I think they use the word convergence. I think it's unimagined convergence is happening, because we are delivering some global transformation projects for different industries, verticals, and right from pharma or automotive, we are also designing cars. We are doing many things which were unimagined actually. We're getting into a lot of new spaces like space tech and all. The opportunity is on the table for Tamil Nadu and Chennai especially, because we have the right infrastructure here, and we've been one of the few states which have been performing well over the last couple of decades as well. I think with the Chief Minister planning for a $1 trillion economy, I think everything looks positive for us. I think from IT's perspective, I would like to talk about a few things. Definitely, if you look at it, the OMR and BELT and other things, and also the amount of automotive we have purchases which happen through the IT industry people, the housing, the retail sectors booming, hotels, manufacturing. Overall, the software exports have really generated huge number of jobs. I think just to add on to that, the last few quarters, we added quite a lot of people. In fact, we have over 90,000 people in Chennai. So I think that shows the amount of job opportunities, great job creation which the IT industry and ITS industry can do. And we have been, I think Chennai has been a leader in ITS, but last couple of decades, I think there are other cities which have really done phenomenally well, and probably they're edging ahead, and Hyderabad and Pune, etc. have gone ahead. I think we need to be really doing something so that we don't lose out some of those things. So in this context, I think the government also has planned global capability centers policies for them, GCCs, to be attracted towards Tamil Nadu. I think we are talking about data center policies. While a lot of data center companies are coming in, and the number of jobs created may be less, but definitely we need to look at what are the adjacent industries we need to create, and definitely electronics, chips and other things might be very, very useful for that industry as well. So I think there is some sort of synergy we need to look at when you look at data centers, but we are not attracted the hyperscale cloud companies like Google or Microsoft or Amazon services here. I think that is going to be a game changer if you are able to get them to set up data centers here. I think we have not. When you look at the indirect employment provided, I think again we need to look at many of our industries. IT industry definitely has created a lot of indirect employment as well. So the future is going to be about creating jobs for the harmony in the society as well. So if you look at we have morphed into holistic transformation players for global companies across different verticals with our suites of products, platforms, patents. I think the 3 P's we call it: products, platforms, and patents. We've just gone beyond the normal IT services. And if you look at evolving mega trends, which is affecting many industries where we are helping global companies. One is a digital transformation, I think everybody talks about, but the amount of blockchain applications are getting increased. In fact, there are new examples which we never thought of is coming in the blockchain application as well. And similarly, Web 3.0 is taking its shape, and IoT, we are going beyond IoT into wearable robotics, and then we are going to go beyond wearable robotics to exoskeletons. So I think the world is moving very, very fast. Whatever we are seeing in the last 15, 20 years is going to be nothing. The next 5 to 10 years is going to be so many changes, and if we don't wake up, I think we lose out to the other cities of India as well. And more, I think even globally, I think we need to be very competitive in many of these new technologies. And human-machine interface, very talked about subject, and it is much closer now than what it was earlier, be it in the healthcare space or public services space. The human-machine interface is going to really rule a lot. And if you talk about we used to talk about augmented reality, then we talked about virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality. Now everybody is talking about metaverse. And metaverse again, there are skeptical people. Any new technologies has its own critics, and it takes some time for the economies of scale also to come up. But people need to appreciate what this virtual means, the world, metaverse world means, right? The virtual is merging into reality, and if you look at it, I don't think we have appreciated what the Gen Z is thinking or working on. Gen Z is very, very comfortable with virtual, and they are used to it because of gaming and other things. And everything we think everything is physical, but it's going beyond beyond reality into virtual world as well. I think a lot of convergence is happening on virtual and reality. So virtual is becoming reality. So then artificial general intelligence, I think we are moving from AI to artificial general intelligence. We are talking about compute and networks, which will become more pervasive. A lot of work is starting to happen in space tech. A lot of startups are coming in space tech space as well. We're talking about many countries like Australia wanting to bring their startups in space tech to India. And automotive and the aerospace and defense is going to become a big thing. I think the corridor which we have planned in Tamil Nadu, I think it should take shape, because we can leverage the experience in automotive also, in some of those things, in electronics and IT. I think all three of us industries can play a big role in the aerospace and defense sectors as well. And some amount of work happening is quantum computing is on the rise. It was only a concept a couple of decades ago, but things are coming into shape. And all these require new categories of jobs, new categories of skilling. So new age skilling is required. That is the need of the hour. And the global value chains are also getting impacted. I think Ganesh Mani and Josh Paul, they will know about the sustainability and circular materials which are going to come into play. The global value chains means a lot. And here Tamil Nadu, the government has to do a lot. While there is a lot of, we can claim that we have a lot of solar and wind and etc. But unless we enable a lot more reforms in the power sector and encourage a lot of renewable energy companies to come in, it will help even the ITS company. The reason I'm saying is any exporter from India or any exporter in the world, if you want to export to Europe, it's going to be a challenge in the future if you are not getting into net zero emission. So it includes the ITS space as well. So we are getting prepared for net zero by 2030. I think so is probably many companies here, and probably 70% in carbon emission reduction by 2025. I think we have very, very stringent targets. We want to achieve it. Overall, I think the deep tech ecosystem is also required in Tamil Nadu. I think the IT Minister, IT Secretary are talking a lot about the deep tech ecosystem and the amount of startups they want to plan. I think overall the innovation ecosystem, some people touched upon Ganesh Mani touched upon the startups. I think very, very key for us to be very active there. We are losing a lot to not just Bangalore, but also Hyderabad, Pune, and Gurugram, and even Mumbai. Actually, I think we are underestimating that actually. So we need to encourage that with the right social infrastructure and whatever support is required, and I think a lot of investments may be required in the government as well on creating a deep tech ecosystem. I think we talked about a lot of opportunities which we can create actually, but in CII Connect we recently had, we talked about a few areas like even including the skill tech university to be set up. I think it is probably elaboration, or it's probably a little bit more than Ganesh when he mentioned about ITI. He was talking more about the manufacturing, but we are looking at holistically on a skill tech university for Tamil Nadu. The sustainability preparedness is going to be the big opportunity we can create, and we can say why Tamil Nadu will be leader in sustainability. I think other states are having probably some good policies to ensure the companies are able to get to net zero very quickly. I think this is one area which probably the government needs to look at. And if you look at the opportunity again, we are going to be the virtual workforce for the world. It is just beyond ITIS and backward. Currently, everybody thinks we are doing offshoring, outsourcing from India, etc. Actually, we can do the virtual workforce beyond IT, be it healthcare, caregivers, or remote plant operators, or remote hospitality support. I think you can go on and on actually. And then the global capability center is one big opportunity because there are cities like Bangalore which is getting maxed out, and many of the global capability centers will definitely look at it. And I already know a couple of them have expanded big time in Chennai. And this will also lead to a lot of IT infrastructure parks coming up or being up and giving a lot of jobs as well. Similarly, the engineering R&D capability centers is a big space. In fact, we have included that as part of the policy for global capability centers because we do a lot of engineering R&D here, and we also see Nissan, Caterpillar, and Hyundai. A lot of people are doing engineering R&D in this city itself. And if you come to challenges, I talked about the sustainability. I think likely European countries will put a lot of restrictions if you're not net zero. By probably in next 5 to 10 years, it's going to happen. And then skills, of course, we need to do a lot more. And how do you create more jobs with the new skills which is required? And government, I think, as a stakeholder, key stakeholder, I think while they have launched a lot of good policies, they need to continue with that and give the momentum. Fintech is a major area which they are come up with. I think that's very good for Chennai because if you look at many of the financial experts in India, most of them are from the state. So, like the way IT, also a lot of people go from here and work in Bangalore. But similarly, the fintech space, I think we have tremendous talent, not only technology but also the financial experts. So I think a lot of, other thing is about we can also look at how fintech cities are being created in different countries. I think we need to look at next generation technologies there and provide the right infrastructure for attracting a lot of fintech startups as well. I think we are a red hot spot. I think I can definitely tell you Chennai is a red hot spot, not only for finance space or engineering space, automotive space, IT and electronics definitely. I think everything is there for us on the table. It is up to us to go ahead and leverage it is my point of view. Thank you.